Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our webinar session today. Today, we're going to have topics related to a survival guide for Web3 immigrants. My name is Bo, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. So just a quick note, if you have questions, please leave it in the chat room and we'll randomly pick some to ask if the time permits. And also, please be respectful to each other and do not spam. All right, we have invited three legendary speakers today. The first speaker is Professor Cai from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Professor Cai, you may start whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. The topic today is survival guide for Web3 immigrants. You can hear me right now, right? Hi, Bo. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay. So the topic is survival guide for Web3 immigrants. I think it's ironic today to talk about the survival guides because, while in past 2 months or past 1 month, we see a crypto crash, right? We do see the price of even BTC and Ethereum was down for a large range. And probably, we're talking about the bear markets recently, right? And we all know that Web3 built up on top of cryptocurrency and NFTs. So probably it's interesting to talk about the survival guys. It seems that we're talking about the survivals in the bear markets. But in fact, the topic today is not about the bear market. Okay, probably it's associated with the bear markets. It's related to crypto investment, but it is not. Okay, it is not. We're all talking about the new immigrants from Web2 to Web3. So the online today will be first, how to be a Web3 person. And well, in order to become a sophisticated Web3 person, we hope you can have equipped a number of skills. For example, like understanding the fundamentals, coding skills, and security awareness. And eventually, we can talk about some investment tips. Probably that was not my expertise, but I'll discuss my experience during past year. So first of all, how to be a Web3 person. Well, I believe many people are very interested in Web3. Okay, actually, I was invited to a number of talks, even from business schools recently. There are a number of people, they're very interested in how to become a Web3 person and how to be successful in the Web3 year. However, first of all, you need to know your motivation, why you're interested in Web3 and why you believe Web3 will be the future. Well, apparently there are two kinds of person in Web3 investment. One type is to make money. Okay, actually, I believe most of us are going to make money from these markets and become rich, hopefully. Okay, but there are also another motivation to be part of Web3. There will be decentralizations. Okay, you don't believe centralized services, so you want to be decentralized. And I would like to say that the pure Web3 people focus on decentralization rather than just making money out of the market. Of course, making money could be part of it, but it shouldn't be the main purpose. I always, talk to people in Twitter and Discord. I have a feeling that, to be honest, in current markets, the majority of the people, they focus on making money rather than decentralization. Okay, so that's why there are a number of stuff, or there are a number of products emerging, and people are discussing that if they should invest on that particular products. They're all talking about the speculations, the probability of making money in short time, rather than the future of the products. Of course, I have to admit that I invest money on some products that are not really decentralized as well. Okay, because decentralization is still on progress. We still looking for technology developments in infrastructures and also ecosystems. Okay, currently, I have to say that, well, most of these Web3 applications, they are not fully decentralized. But remember, decentralization, it is the target, is the ultimate goal for Web3 person. So if you want to be a Web3 person, remember, decentralization is the destination. Okay, so eventually we're towarding those destinations, and making money is just part of it. It's just the path towards the decentralization. So why we need Web3? Well, I believe many of you might focus on some news recently, especially in the Russia and Ukraine crisis, right? So, for example, like this is a Twitter from the Ukraine officials. He's asking for all major crypto exchange to block the address of Russian users. And in fact, some of them, okay, some of those cryptocurrency and NFT markets, they echo the calls, okay? They, for example, like DMarket, a platform for trading NFTs and in-game metaverse items, decide to freeze the accounts of users from the Russia and some associated countries. Okay, while I won't judge if this is right or not, and I don't have any political standings on these arguments, but what I'm talking about is Web3. To be honest, okay, if you are really into Web3, you really love Web3, love the decentralization, you have to admit that, well, those actions of freezing a particular number of people might not be good in Web3 environments. Okay, we are talking about that the digital access should be associated with person, and this person, they could be protected by the technology rather than political actions or any regulations. That will be the most important thing in Web3. Similarly, well, I believe many of you might know the Celsius recently, okay, while he is pausing all withdrawals and transfers between the accounts during the crisis recently, okay. So apparently these are not real decentralized systems, okay. DMarket, Celsius network, and many exchange, for example, like Binance, right, Coinbase, they are actually centralized services to trade decentralized assets. So that's why they can, the operators, they can easily block the users, right? They can erase you even from the network. And this is not secure for people, and probably this is not the spirit of Web3. So remember, if you want to be Web3 people, okay, try to get away from these centralized systems. Of course, unfortunately, until today, we're not able to do that. Okay, we're not able to fully depart for us from the from the centralized systems, but that will be our target. Okay, so the first step of being a Web3 person is try to get rid of the centralized services. So since we're talking about the immigrants, I assume you guys are now familiar with those technologies. Okay, so you might want to start from these three products. The first one is MetaMask. Okay, so MetaMask is a crypto wallet. In fact, it is a plugin that can add up into your browsers, for example, like Google Chrome or even Microsoft Edge. So this plugin will enable you to create your private key and also the associated address, so that you can use it to really trade digital asset in a decentralized way. So by using the MetaMask, you're able to trade tokens, right? You're able to hold your tokens in your address rather than just storing all the data in the exchange. I know many people are trading cryptocurrencies. Okay, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of colleagues. They also purchase cryptocurrencies in, let's say, Binance, right, Huobi, right, those exchange. But something you need to know that is that you don't really own those digital assets. You just flip them to make money, right? Those digital assets never be in your pockets, okay, in your wallet. It's in the address of the centralized exchange. So using MetaMask could be the first step. The second one, get rid of those exchange. Well, when you're trying to exchange the cryptocurrency, one solution is that you can use a decentralized exchange like Uniswap. Of course, there are many decentralized exchange, right? Sushi, Swap, well, there are a lot. Actually, one of the innovative approach in this area is the automatic market maker. Okay, so if you don't know automatic market maker, you might want to get into it. You might want to Google online to see what is AMM. Okay, automatic market maker will use a smart contract for you to trade your cryptocurrency. Okay, so technically, you don't trade with a person. Okay, they don't use a bid and ask model. Okay, I mean, traditional exchange is a bid ask model, right? You list a price, and then they will try to match you with the trading partners, components, and then you can trade. But on the market maker is a bit different. Okay, there will be a pool that the liquidity provider will create a pair, okay, a pair of cryptocurrency, and you can trade with that pair. Of course, the price of the cryptocurrency will be calculated based on a formula. Okay, so it's a very simple formula. Okay, if you're interested in AMM, you can Google for Uniswap how Uniswap was built and how AMM was implemented in Uniswap. This is something very important, and this is something really innovative in cryptocurrency. In fact, with the smart contract concept, okay, we can actually create automatic tradings rather than using a centralized server. Okay, so actually, after 2020s, lots of people started to use decentralized finance, DeFi. And in fact, the decentralized exchange is the most important part of the DeFi, because without the decentralized exchange, you're not able to do swappings between different cryptocurrencies. And the third step, you might want to know about NFTs. NFT was very popular in last year, right? I mean, starting from last year until the beginning of this year, we can see a lot of new projects in NFT, and NFT eventually create lots of societies, decentralized societies. We call them DAO. I'll talk about this in our following slides. Well, if you want to buy an NFT, you might want to use the exchange for NFT as well. Okay, so the most famous one could be OpenSea, right? Could be OpenSea. Of course, in my opinion, OpenSea is pretty centralized. Okay, it is not a DAO-based organization. It's pretty centralized. Unfortunately, so far it is the best, or probably the most popular exchange for NFTs. So you might want to start from OpenSea, and eventually you can move to other exchange. I believe in the next wave of the markets, there could be multiple NFT trading markets, and that could be something big. Okay, we're trying to decentralize the NFT tradings as well, rather than just using a centralized bid-ask models like OpenSea. So these are very basic software you want to know if you want to be a Web3 person. So when you started to use those software, you really own your digital assets, you really own your NFTs. So you can start to create your decentralized identity in Web3 network. So I would say that let your address become your ID. Of course, as a real human, okay, you will have a real ID, right? That will be your national ID. That will be your passport ID, right? But you can have multiple address. Here we're talking about the address in Ethereum or Bitcoin, right? You might have multiple address in the network that represents you. It's okay, it's easy to create multiple address, right? It's just one simple click, okay? You create a pair of private key and you have associated address. So as you can see in this ID, I have K address, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lots of address. And for each address, it could be associated with a number of NFTs, for example, okay? For example, in address 1, I associate with my Tiny Dino NFT, and that could be one of my decentralized ID, okay? So that would be DID1. In my second address, I might have, well, from the NFTs from Weirdo Ghost Gun, from Fanta Bear, right? And for address 3, I might have one from Employables. So as you can see, for one real ID, you might want to associate with multiple address, and those addresses might associate with different DIDs as well, okay? Well, here you can see that those DIDs, okay, those DIDs could be transferred, those NFTs, okay, could be transferred from one address to another address. You can sell them, right? You can move them to other address you own, right? So technically, there are different layers of DIDs, okay, of this. From the perspective of the community perspective, okay, they might want to check your NFTs, right? They want to check NFT, because nowadays those NFT, especially the profile picture NFT, the PFP NFTs, somewhat like the pass to the decentralized autonomous organization, okay, part of the DAO, okay, part of the organization. So they will check that to validate you are the member or not. It's a membership check, okay, membership check. But remember, rather than the DID, okay, the address you control is important as well, right? Why? Because, for example, I do have one particular PIP, I do have one NFT, and eventually I transfer the NFT to someone else. I sell it. I sold those NFTs. But still, due to the blockchain feature, I have all the records of holding those NFTs. So it become my record, right? It become my record. So all of the actions you perform in the blockchain, in the Web3 society, they're permanently recorded in the blockchain network. So it become your resume, okay? It become your resume. So this is something I would like to emphasize. Let your on-chain data become your resume. You know, I'm hiring PhD students. I always tell those candidates, please show me your, let's say, ETH address or your Bitcoin address. I can check how you perform your actions, right? I can know your activities in the Web3 community. Well, this is something completely different from Web2, right? For example, if you are selling cryptocurrencies in Binance or Coinbase, right? You might have the record as well, but I cannot check your record unless I really have your accounts, right? But in Web3, it's easy for me to check your activities. It's easy for me to know who you are and what you have done and what will be your personalities. Of course, sometimes you want privacy. I know you want privacy, okay? So you don't have to expose all your address. You might expose one or two of address to show me who you are and your activities in this network. Okay, so this is it. This is who you are in Web3. Of course, you know, the Web3 has a society as well, okay, just like the real social network. So you might want to be active in the community. Nowadays, Twitter, Discord, those are the most popular platforms for us to discuss the developments of Web3. So you want to be very active in these two areas, right? Twitter, it is a way for us to forward and send message in a very convenient way. And Discord is a way for us to gather the people who are interested in the same topics, So be a Web3 person means you want to be part of the decentralized autonomous organization, the DAO, okay, the DAO. Nowadays, Discord has a functionality that they can use Collaborate so that you are able to check your NFT to see if you're part of the DAO. So they have some special channels, the private channels, that you can enter those channels with NFTs. It's easy, okay? Of course, in the future, I believe there will be more and more products that associate with NFTs, okay? And there will be a decentralized social file. Okay. Unfortunately, until today, we're talking about the Twitter, talking about Discord, they are centralized services. They're not real decentralized services. So they are not real Web3 services. Okay. But I believe in future 1 or 2 years, there'll be more and more products related to social fi, so that we're able to really build up a Web3 community on top of a decentralized infrastructure. I can see that someone is already doing that, okay? Many of you might know Nansen, right? Nansen is a very popular BI, okay, the business intelligence platforms that's providing a data analytic results for the users to analyze the cryptocurrency tradings. And they just announced a new platform called Nansen Connect, okay, Nansen Connect. So if you have certain NFTs, okay, for example, like the Lily Ghost, the Weirdo Ghost, or you have the BAYC, okay, or you have Azuki, those famous NFT projects, you can enter their communities by using the Nansen Connect. They already built up the communities. So it's more like an NFT driven Discord. Okay, I believe that will be the future. It will be the future. Okay, the NFT communities, the decentralized societies, and DAO might have their platforms that customize for the Web3 communities. And on top of these fundamentals, okay, if you want to really be successful, become knowledgeable in Web3, you want to understand the fundamentals. Okay, so even though you are not science and engineering people, I will strongly suggest that you spend some time on understanding the data structure of blockchain and how P2P network, the peer-to-peer network was built. Okay, and on top of that, you want to know the working mechanisms for consensus models. Okay, especially the foundations of proof of work, proof of stake, or even PBFT. If you have no sufficient time, then proof of work will be the most important one for you to know. Okay, without knowing POW, okay, proof of work, you might not be able to understand the foundation of blockchain and the foundation of cryptocurrency. Okay, so that will be very difficult for you to understand new projects in the future. And on top of the consensus models, you need to know the protocols. So the protocols are the standards that were able to create something, okay, with consensus. So the most important protocols will be ERC20 and ERC721. So ERC20 is the protocol for us to create cryptocurrencies. Okay, so or sometimes we call them fungible tokens. That's each token, they're identical to each other. Okay, and ERC721, it is the protocol for us to create non-fungible tokens, NFTs. Okay, so each token are completely different from each other. They have special IDs, so they could differentiate for each other. With those basic, okay, with those fundamentals, it will be much easier for us to understand the new projects. Well, there are a large number of projects emerging every single day in Web3. Okay, so in order to better understanding the new project, you need to know the fundamentals. Okay, you need to know the fundamentals. Another thing I strongly recommend is the coding skills. I know many of you might not be engineering people or computer science people. Okay, but still, it's a strong recommendation that you might want to learn how to write the code. Okay, coding is important in Web3 or even in metaverse. Okay, because well, I always tell my student, okay, when I was a kid, I was born in a very small town in China. Okay, and in my small town, we don't speak Chinese Mandarin. We speak something like Taiwanese. Okay, because it's just across the sea. Okay, so you know, in my hometown, if you can speak Chinese Mandarin, you know, for my parent, okay, if you can speak Chinese Mandarin, it's important, okay, because you can communicate with people from different provinces in China, okay, and from my age, okay, it's important to speak English, because if you can speak English, you can talk to all people from all over the world, okay, and for next generation, in my opinion, okay, it's important to talk to machines. Just like talking to smart contracts in blockchain, okay? Especially in Web3, okay? Well, one of the most important principle is that the code is the rule, right? The code is the rule. So when you talk to Web3, when you work in Web3, you always want to deal with smart contract, those rules written in programming languages. So if you don't know how the programming languages was built and how those language was used to build up the rules, it could be very difficult for you, okay? Because you're not able to communicate with the web. You cannot communicate with the blockchain. The smart contract is the most important skill you need to learn, okay? Of course, nowadays we have lots of different blockchains. They might support different programming languages, but I believe Ethereum, okay, and other blockchains that adopt the EVM, okay, Ethereum virtual machine, they will use Solidity, okay, the language Solidity. So I would strongly suggest you spend some time on learning Solidities. Probably you don't need to learn how to write a code, but at least you need to learn how to read a code, okay? If you already have experience in programming, the first link, Solidity by example, is a very good website for you to check. Okay, you can use them as a manual, as a reference to understand how Solidity was coded. If you don't have any background, the second link, Crypto Zombies, is a very good website. Okay, that website will actually show you a game. You can follow the tutorial to write a game, and you will know how the system was built. And on top of the smart contract, you need to understand the decentralized applications. Okay, we call them dApps. So I'd like to show you a figure. So this is one of the figures from our previous work. As you can see, right, nowadays we rely on web, on browsers to communicate with blockchains. So it's important to write up the interface, and also you need to write up the backend servers rather than just the Solidity smart contract. So as you can see, you might need to use a web server to establish the foundation for your applications. And nowadays it's very popular to use IPFS to store the data. Okay, the store the data for the front ends, okay, for all the appearance, multimedia contents, interactions, everything. Okay, and you can use Fleek. Okay, that's a service to create a server. Okay, to create a server for you to interact with those the data stored in IPFS. And with the web server, okay, the web server actually can push you the data, okay, the front end status files, and those files will be eventually sent to your browser, and then you can start to interact with those data by using the browser. The browser is in fact, it's more like a container that's hosts all the data, okay, hosts all data, the front end data, like JavaScript, HTML. Okay, so you're able to interact with the smart contract by connecting, by interacting with the browser's contents. Right, the JavaScript will send your command to the blockchain, okay, to the smart contract. Of course, in the future, okay, when we're talking about the metaverse, we need rich multimedia, interactive multimedia, okay, better look. So probably game engine is also very important. Okay, there are multiple good game engines, for example, like Unity, okay, Unreal, UE, right? I know that, for example, like Unity already integrates libraries that you can directly connect to smart contract. Okay, you can use Web3 toolkit, okay, so that the game engine can connect it to the backend as well. Okay, so that is the decentralized applications. Well, something I need to emphasize here is until today, okay, until today, the dApps, they are not fully decentralized. We still rely on some centralized internet infrastructures. But I believe in short-term futures, there will be better supporting infrastructures for Web3. Okay. Security awareness. Okay, security is always very, very important, because you could lose everything if you don't you just click a wrong place, okay, a wrong button. For example, I can show you some examples. This is one of my example. Okay, I tried to purchase a Weirdo Ghost from OpenSea, and through that recommendation, I found this one. I click and buy. Okay, and apparently this is a fake one. Okay, this is a fake one, and the images are the same, but actually they're from different address. It's a wrong web. It's a wrong address, but I just purchased them. I spent 0.26 E on this fake image. Okay, another new scam will be like this. Okay, it's running on OpenSea. Okay, so they actually airdrop an NFT to you, and there will be an offer on it. So if you click that particular link and then accept their offer, okay, the OpenSea will prompt a message on your MetaMask and ask for your permission. If you give them the permission, they can steal your NFTs, steal your cryptocurrencies, because you grant the permission to them. Okay, this is because the OpenSea was just open source. They tried to open source that, and someone already find out there's something wrong with their bugs, their logical bugs in their code. So this is something they just create a new scam, phishing clicks for them. Okay. So the last topic is about investments. Well, to be honest, I'm not an expert in investments. I'm doing research, and I'm doing research especially in infrastructures, and also the algorithms, the systems for Web3. But from my experience in past 1 year, I have two conclusions. Okay, the first one is always do your own research. Okay, well, there are lots of KOLs in Twitter. Okay, they're promoting lots of projects and promoting lots of cryptocurrency and NFT. But before you really start your action, okay, do your own research. Really understand what's going there, understanding the potential, understanding the working mechanism of the system before you really started to purchase. Okay, if you don't buy, then there will be no cost, right? But if you buy, well, that might be something. If the project is not a good project, then it could be a bit lost for you. Okay. And the second conclusion is that don't FOMO. Okay, don't FOMO. Well, in Web3, you always hear from a lot of people from the Twitter, from Discord, that a lot of people making a lot of money out of one investment. Okay, so you want to copy that, you want to invest on one particular project and making a lot of money. To be honest, this is very, very difficult. Okay, very, very difficult. FOMO could lose a lot of money as well. Okay, I follow a Twitter account called NFT Sales Bot. Okay, they already sell sending messages about the sales on some classic projects. As you can see, like this one. Okay, this NFT from CryptoPunks, okay, was bought in with the price of 265 ETH and was sold. Okay, sold in 55 ETH. Hold for 6 months. Okay, hold for 6 months. As you can see, it's a big loss. Okay, it's a big loss. Okay, 847,000 US dollars lost from this flip. Okay, so this is not easy. Okay, when you know something, okay, if you know the pioneers in one particular direction, when you hear something, probably there'll be lots of people already buying already. So if you FOMO, that could be a big loss for you. Okay, so these are 2 tips I might want to provide for you if you're new to this area. Okay, so that's it for my talk. Some of my experience and some of my ideas regarding Web3. If you have any questions or you have any, you want to talk to me directly later, you can follow my Twitter and then we can have discussions in the messages. That's the message. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for the speak, Professor Tsai. You have talking about something about security skills that we need in the Web3 territories today. So there is a quite interesting question for you. Do you think that in the Web3 world, morality is the only way to discipline ourselves? And if not, then what will be?
Sorry, I didn't get it very well. Which one?
I mean, the question is, do you think the morality is the only way to discipline ourselves? And if not, then what will be?
Well, in Web3, to be honest, we shouldn't rely on personalities or moralities. We need to rely on the rules. Okay, rely on the codes. Okay, so well, I do a lot of research, and those research were based on game theory. Okay, so one of the most important principle or assumption in game theory is that everyone in this game is selfish. Okay, they only consider their personal interest. I believe there will be a common consumption in capital market as well. Okay, we cannot rely on anyone, especially in Web3, because when we come to Web3, right, we hope we can follow a certain principles, and those principles will be code in lines rather than regulations or we don't even, to be honest, some Web3 people, they don't even believe in laws. They don't even believe in governance. Okay, they believe in the code. Yeah, so I believe that will be the most important thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. Our second speaker is Ali, and he is the overseas community manager at Chain IDE. Ali, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And yeah, I am Ali, overseas community manager at Chain IDE. And today I will be talking about how you can start your Web3 journey. Here is the today's agenda. The first of all is introduction, and like what is Web3 and why we need Web3, and Web3 market value. And I will be talking about application categories, like where the Web3 is being used and how you can build a Web3 application, methodologies, like what are the steps required to create an Web3 application. And I will implement a very simple smart contract using front end to tell you like how you can design a simple Web3 application, some research tools and development tool you can use to research for NFTs, fungible tokens, and some development tool that you can use to build your Web3 projects. And I will be sharing some GitHub repositories that have already smart contracts and libraries. You can learn from there if you are a beginner, and some learning resources And in the end, I will be talking about jobs in Web3, like where you can find jobs in Web3, what kind of technical and non-technical jobs are available, and where you can find hackathons and can start your Web3 journey. So first of all, I would start with what is Web3. Web3 is acknowledged as the future of internet. First of all, we had Web 1, where we could only read data from the website. And then we had Web 2, where we could read and write. Now we have Web 3, where we can read, write, and own data. After owning data, like after we have some data that is provable with provable ownership. Anywhere in the world, and that can be proved like you are the real owner of that data. And the vision of this new blockchain-based web includes cryptocurrencies like fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, decentralized autonomous organization, decentralized finance, and much more. And it offers read, write, and own. Not like the Web 1 and Web 2, where you like store the data and your data is being used by the third party. Like if you are using Facebook or YouTube, your data is being used by them or being sold by them to any companies, and they are using for advertisement purpose, and they are making money on the by using your data. So that is not the case with Web3. You own your data, you have the permission, and like who can view your data, who can access your data. And why we need Web3? Because in Web3, we can read, write, and own, which was impossible before Web3. If we talk about Web 2, in Web 2, we used to store data on the databases using like SQL databases, Oracle databases, MySQL server, or any other server before Web3. So that were like centralized or distributed. We had not the access of the whole data, like it was stored in some other servers, and the third party had access to the whole data. And they have the delete and update query also that may cause some security issues. But in Web3, in blockchain, we don't have update and delete query. That makes it secure and transparent. And it does not have any third party involvement. And users and builders can own pieces of internet services by owning token. For example, if you own a token, NFT token, and you own like services of a metaverse, services of any club, or services of any other thing in NFT categories. And that when you own a token, that is verifiable on the blockchain anywhere in the world. And that is trustless. We don't need any third party for the trust, permissionless, and we can use built-in payment method and different fungible tokens. If we talk about Web3 market, it is growing day by day. More and more companies are joining Web3. Venture capitalist firm have put more than $27 billion in crypto-related projects in 2021 alone. And Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook also have moved to Web3 blockchain, you can say. Facebook has recently changed its name to Meta, and Twitter and Reddit also experimenting with their own Web3 projects. Twitter is like making some PFP, like you can use your NFT as your profile picture on the Twitter. It is already implemented and some users are already using it. And if you click on the profile picture, it will lead you to the marketplace, OpenSea. So you can sell like this way, or you can use your NFTs in the Twitter. So more and more companies are getting into Web3 market. If we talk about the total crypto market cap, it was about 2.2 trillion a few days ago, but it has been reduced a lot, maybe, yeah, more than half of it now. Yeah, so that was the market of Web3. And if we talk about application categories, there are different application categories for Web3. It is being used in finance, being used as an NFT in different projects, like you can buy a music, a song of a singer, or you can buy a NFT for sports, like NBA Top Shot is selling its NFTs, and you can buy NFTs for metaverse projects, profile pictures, arts, and digital collectibles. And it is being used in enterprise resource planning, also Internet of Things, like when you store data on the blockchain, and when you want to access or interact with the with your data, you need a Web3. And secure data storage in healthcare, in like everywhere where we need secure data sharing. Yeah, and now I will talk about like how you can build on Web3, what are the fundamentals, tools, programming languages, and frameworks. So first of all, you need to know like what is a blockchain. Like Professor Sai already talked about consensus algorithm, like proof of work, proof of stake, and there are many other consensus algorithms also. Like first of all, you need to understand how blockchain works. And the second step is tools, like which tools you need to create your Web3 project. You can use Chain IDE, Remix IDE, or Visual Studio Code, or you can use some other tools also. I will explain in upcoming slides. And if we talk about programming languages, it depends on the blockchain where you want to deploy your smart contract. If you want to create a smart contract for Ethereum blockchain, then you can use Solidity, as Professor Sai also discussed about Solidity, and you can use ETH.js library for the interaction when you deploy your smart contract on the blockchain. And for the front end, you can use some frameworks such as Vue or React, or you can use some programming languages such as like HTML, CSS, HTML for the content creation, and CSS for styling the front end, and Solidity for writing down and deploying your smart contract on the blockchain. So that is how you can build your Web3 application. I will discuss in detail. I will like give a short demo of how you can create a simple Web3 application. Here is methodology, like how you can start. First of all is planning. You need to plan like what you want to build, why you want to build, and you need to make like the whole life cycle, how it will work. And then you will analyze your requirements, all the functional and non-functional requirements. Then you will design. Before the development, or like you can say before the implementation, you will design, and using some like prototyping tool, you will make a prototype. After you complete your prototype, it will be a development stage. You will start the actual implementation using front end and back end. For front end, as I already said, you can use different front end frameworks or programming languages. And for back end, you can use some back end languages. It will depend on the blockchain where you want to deploy your smart contract. If you want to deploy on Solana, you may need to use Rust programming language, and you may need to use Solana web3.js library. And if you want to deploy on Flow blockchain, you will have to learn a different programming language, that is Cadence, and will have to use some other Web3 library. After you have completed creating your smart contract, the next step is testing, and after that is integration And once you have like integrated and deployed your application, the maintenance is like will go on. And there are different research and development tools. If you want to research about NFTs, you can go to OpenSea, and there you can find different NFT projects. There are a lot of NFT marketplaces where you can find the information about the non-fungible token projects like that have non-fungible token. Some are listed here: OpenSea, Rarible, Blocktobe. Rarible and Blocktobe is flow-based, while OpenSea is supports Ethereum, Polygon, and Solana. And there are many others also. You can go there and you can find the link for the actual website. You can check the documentation, like what is the main purpose of their project, what is the category of their project, and you can find the link of GitHub. Also can check their source code and how their projects works. And if you want to search about fungible token, you can check on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. All the fungible tokens, projects with fungible tokens are listed on these CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. You can go there and can have look of all the projects with fungible tokens. And development tools, you need to have an idea about our Chain IDE, Remix IDE, Hardhat, and Truffle. These are used for developing your Web3 project. So here I have listed some useful GitHub repositories. The first one is web3.js, which is the most commonly used library for interacting with Ethereum blockchain. But if you want to like interact with the Solana blockchain, then you will use different like Solana web3.js. And here we have another free Web3 resource you can find on GitHub. Francisco has written about like 100 days of codes, and he has listed all the documentations, all the tools, all the like libraries that are necessary to create an application, create a Web3 application. And here is the link for blockchain books. There are many books, blockchain books or Web3 books and documentation for Solidity, Ethereum, web3.js. You can check on the GitHub. You can search by blockchain books GitHub, and you will find this repository. And these repositories include the books on Bitcoin, Ethereum, the documentation on Ethereum.js, web3.js, and Solidity, documentation for Solidity. So these are the GitHub repositories. And for learning resources, you can go to Chain IDE, and they have built-in templates. You can start with them, with the built-in templates. They have like from very simple to some like advanced level built-in templates, like for a simple storage, where you can store data on the blockchain and can retrieve the data from the blockchain to NFTs. They have a smart contract for NFTs also. Like you can go to Chain IDE, can check the source code, including front end, back end, and Web3 libraries. Each and everything is there. You can simply go to chainide.com and play with the built-in templates available there. And Professor Sai already mentioned about crypto zombies, and this is one of the useful resources for learning Web3. And Solidity documentation, web3.js, Web3 JavaScript API documentation, blockchain books I have already shared. You can search blockchain books GitHub, and you will be able to access blockchain books. And Open Zeppelin contracts is also available on GitHub, and they have built-in contracts for different purposes, like ERC20 contract, ERC721 contract, and different smart contracts. So if you are not very good in writing down a smart contract, or if you are not very good in like programming language, you can simply go to Open Zeppelin contracts and can find the smart contract from there and can implement using Chain IDE and deploy on any blockchain of your interest. And you can learn from Ethereum org website, Ethereum boilerplate, MetaMask extension, Solana Web3.js on GitHub. Web3 React is a library for like you can use Web3 and can React for the front-end development, Web3.js for interacting with the deployed smart contract, and Ether.js for interacting with the deployed smart contract only on the Ethereum blockchain. So now I will be talking about jobs in Web3. There are different types of jobs in Web3. Some are technical and some are non-technical. Technical include Solidity engineer, backend software engineer, TypeScript engineer, financial analyst, Solana engineer, Flow engineer, like someone who can develop applications on Flow blockchain. And these kind come under the technical jobs category. And non-technical jobs in Web3 are like Twitter growth hacker, SEO manager, search engine optimization manager, marketing lead, and lead, engagement moderation. If you are like good in Discord moderation, Telegram moderation, if you are good in like Twitter growth, you can apply for the non-technical jobs in Web3, but it is better you have some knowledge of Web3 and you can join some hackathons. There are different hackathon platforms like DevPost, Gitcoin, Chain ID, like we also host hackathon usually, and you can join our Discord, Telegram, or you can follow us on Twitter to keep updated with the upcoming hackathons, seminar, or webinars. So you can like get into hackathons and can like get a chance to get into Web3 and like show your skills and make some money. And you can find jobs from these websites: web3.career, cryptocurrencyjobs.co.web3, and there are many jobs on LinkedIn also. Like make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date and you have enlisted all the skills you have on LinkedIn. And Twitter can also help you to get a job in Web3 if you are like post daily and you have like if your content is very good and if you have a good number of followers, maybe you are like maybe you have a chance to get connected by some good companies, and you can talk with the projects on Discord or Telegram also. So yeah, this was the presentation, and if you have any question, you may ask, and I will give you a brief demo of how you can create a Web3 project. First, I will deal with the questions, and then I will move like how you can create a simple Web3 project.
Well, thank you for the talk, Ali. You have been talking about something about data and information ownership in the Web3 world. Could you tell us a bit more about how Web3 technology applied or helped in the educational or medical fields?
Yeah, before Web3, if I talk about secure data sharing or secure data storage, it was very hard because the data was being stored on the centralized server. And in the centralized server, there is only one point of failure. Like if the your device gets damaged or if your device gets burned, it happened in many countries. Like your very secure data is like being wasted or being like wasted this way. But in Web3, there are different nodes. Like every blockchain has different nodes. If we talk about BNB Smart Chain, it has about almost 21 nodes. And if we talk about Ethereum, it has in like hundreds node. And if we talk about Bitcoin, it has like many hundreds. I am not like very sure about the exact numbers. So in Web3, if you store data on the blockchain, like it is very secure. If it is like the first of all, there are no chances of data deletion or data updation, because Web3 or blockchain does not have these queries. So this way makes data very transparent, very secure. Yeah. And like we don't need any third party. Yeah, if we have any other question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ali. And thank you for the talk. Our third speaker is Ping. Ping is the community manager from RSS3. Ping, let me pass it all over to you. And Ping, you may start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hello. Hello, this is Ping from RSS3, and I'm the community manager of RSS3. And today I'm going to talk about the survival guide for Web3 immigrants. But first, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more. Me, myself, is a Web3 immigrant that joined Web3 last year. I dropped out from graduate school from Taiwan, and now I'm responsible for content operation at RSS3. We all know the macro market isn't doing well right now, with Bitcoin under 20K and Ether under 1,000. What I suggest here is to realize the entire crypto and IT tech progress in a rather historical way. And to expand your time frame of seeing things, you will do much better through the up and downs. So there will be 5 parts of my sharing. First, I will define what Web3 is to National Selection Labs, the parent company of RSS3. Secondly, I will explain more about how not to panic in the bear market. Then last, I will display some Web3 product of RSS3 and show how its tech can help tech and non-tech curate and survive and develop through the bear market. And there have been some exciting development going on by the Natural Selection Lab recently. I will explain the details later. But to define Web3, I think it's important to define a survival guide for Web3 immigrants. I think it's important to define what Web3 actually is. In RSS3's perspective, we are inclined to frame the Web3 revolution as an innovative stage of human information distribution. And it is an open and decentralized web to create and to disseminate and distribute information freely. And the most important is to defy the Web2 hegemony. I would like to share a small piece from the Crypto Anarchist Manifesto from 1988. Just as the technology of printing altered and reduced the power of medieval guilds and the social power structure, so will cryptologic method fundamentally alter the nature of corporation and of government interference in economic transaction. Combined with emerging information markets, crypto anarchy will create a liquid market for any and all material which can be put in words and pictures. Sounds kind of familiar, but we have come a long way since 1988. But we haven't been far enough yet, as all the economic fruits have fallen in the hands of Web2 tech giants. And then I'm going to explain more about what is Web 1 and what is Web 3. At Web 1, there are much more limited users and connection and interaction. However, people own their own server and website, and they have their complete ownership and freedom. However, the economic and tech barrier make it hard to scale and connect with others. Still, users receive a much more variety of decentralized source of information from the web instead of a traditional centralized media. In Web 2 is something we are much more familiar with. We have a huge and charge-free web internet platform that brings the globe online, scales better, and low barrier of free entry, and provide a much better user experience. Users get to create content and contribution and contribute information much more easier. However, we lose all the ownership and autonomy to platforms. Platform controls everything. And they bring a lot of for-profit AIs to make users watch more ads on their news feed. And there isn't much option for users. Users whether choose to adapt or they just leave the platform. And this is what is gonna change in Web 3. We define Web 3 as an open and community-based, and it is inherently collaborating and sharing. It's not just an ideal, but an infrastructure that is built in Web 3. Like every blockchain is not independent. Everyone can join a blockchain without permission. And it has a much more lower barrier than Web 1 and more ownership than Web 2. User can decide more on what they want to see on their news feed. And it can be supplemented with open AIs, not just regular news feed. And on Web 3, there are inherent economic tools we all know as cryptos. And it makes people get a much more easier sense to monetize their own content. And we don't need extra payment like payment and platform to secure all the payments. That's where no middleman is needed on Web 3. And the most important is the option to choose. Like what I mentioned in Web 2, you can choose what you want. But in Web 3, you can choose what plugins and what kind of feature you want to use as a user. And the difference is that in Web 3, it's not gonna make you go back to having to own your own server and you can barely connect with others. And that is not what the internet should be in 1999. Back then, people imagined the internet to be someplace that people can retain their control on their own content and have the benefit of scale and scope. What this tech is called Web Syndication. It might be hard for people who are born in the Web 2 era to imagine anything other than a huge platform. But this wasn't the case back then. As quoted by the tech reviewer Kevin Orbach in the Web Ghost Syndication. Syndication will evolve in the core model for internet economic, allowing businesses and individuals to retain control over their online personnel while enjoying the benefit of massive scale and scope. And that was actually the case when RSS dominated the whole internet. What RSS did is that it indexed content on the whole web that support RSS. And it is a feed by user choice. Users get to subscribe the feed they want to see. And RSS will generate and distribute the news feed in the background from all kinds of websites the user subscribed in. And it's automated based on personal selection without any charge or any platform. However, it is killed by the social media in mid-2000. The problem with RSS feed is that they have no interaction on the RSS feed. It's just a passive reader. And it's hard to create content if you are not a tech developer. And it's also hard for you to get popular on RSS feed if you don't know how to build a popular website. And social media did that. Social media makes people create content much more easier, and they don't need that much tech, and they have the more rights to create content. However, social media is a Web2 platform, and they take control of everything, and that's what we're experiencing now. Well, the goal of RSS3 is to rebuild web syndication on Web3. First, it's gonna index all the Web3 activity on all the blockchain and make it into a feed if someone subscribe it. And it will make those RSS3 feed more capable of interaction instead of passive feed. And there is no personal server needed on likely past RSS. RSS3 allows people to create on a blockchain decentralized storage. And there are some built-in monetizing tools for user, leaving user with less friction to get paid of what they create. And user experience gets better, unlike the RSS community. And the most important of all is that the open source developer community have a better economics incentive or support by crypto community. And that is how RSS3 is aimed to rebuild the web syndication on Web3. And that will make business and individual to retain control over their online personnel while enjoying the benefit of massive scale and scope on Web3. So if you reframe Web3 not as something about speculation and token price, if you think about it as something innovative of information distribution of everyday user, it won't get that bad when the bear market hits, because Web2's flaw is always there and they won't change because of any crypto crash. And Web3 developers are not going anywhere in bear markets. And unlike the Web2 developers, they build alone and they're afraid that someone's gonna steal their thing. That Web3 developers actually share and do open source much more. And they build like a huge community. So that's supposed to make more confident of what Web3 are going to. And here are some tips of how to not panic in bear market. First, you come for a profit, but it is crucial for everyone to know that people should stay for a community. And it is important for you to find your own niche and find your find a place that suits your niche in the Web3 community. You don't have to force yourself to do something you don't get to do. Do what you do best and keep on doing it. And in the bear market, you should learn and do research instead of speculating about price. And like other speaker mentioned, that Twitter and Discord is the main news source for now on Web3 community. You should build and share and do networking on Twitter and Discord. And I think proof of work is something quite essential in Web3 space, that you need to prove your work and prove your activity on Web3. And I think Mirror is quite a great tool for people to share stuff on it. It's free and it's on decentralized Web3 storage. So maybe in the bear market, everyone should write something on Mirror and keep on posting. And I think the most important of all, to not panic, is to find an actual Web3 job instead of income from speculating. That will help much more. And here's are some product of Natural Selection Lab. First is a RSS3 protocol. It is a Web3 content feed index standard. And for the builders, the RSS3 API 0.4 is now online and it's live, and everyone can check it out on RSS3.io. It's an open API that any developer can use and utilize with RSS3 feed. And then it's Crossbill is an EVM chain for social purpose that make monetizing on Web3 much more easier. And people get to own their content on Web3. And Tereco is the open source feed AI for Web3, trained by user. It's still under construction, but in the future, we vision it as a product that everyone can use to improve their user experience. What we think about AI is not AI is inherently evil, but AI now on all the Web2 platform are trained to gain more profit and make you watch more ads. So if there is no platform in the Web3 space, and AI is purely for user, and that will change everything of what we think about AI. Then is Pyro is the social dApp for everyone, for everyday user, and it is still under construction. And it will in this dApp, they will generate feed powered by RSS3. You can follow our Twitter for more, and Pyro has its own Twitter. And then is Unidata is more about developers. It provides easy access to human-friendly Web3 data. It wraps all data from several chains into a unified data format, and you can fetch an asset or display the NFT data much more easier. Then is BuildCon, is the hackathon and the conference for Web3 builders. And then is RSS3.io. It's our official website, and it has a huge refurnish recently, and now it works like a Web3 activity scan, and it's pretty cool. I can demonstrate it with some address for now. Yeah, and this is an address of Justin's son from Seattle Capital, and we can see there are different category of his activity, and there's all and there is NFT, we can see he minted an LP on Uniswap 3 for UST and USDD on May 9th. And that click can lead you to Etherscan. So basically now RSS.io is a cooler Etherscan that makes these stuff like a news feed. And there's much more still under construction, and there will be more option in the future. And Cheers and Reverie is some product maybe you'll be familiar with, is something that you use to display your Web3 identity. And yeah, and that's all for now. Thank you for listening and happy building.
Well, thank you, Ping. We already feel the enthusiasm of the RSS3 community bring us. So Ping, what do you think that the most valuable step for RSS3 will take to help builders in the Web3 world?
Well, I think the RSS API will be the most beneficial for a developer because it will provide some cross-chain support, and it will make fetching data much more easier, and people can actually create social dApp based on that API.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. So here, I guess, is the end of today's session. And if you still have questions, please feel free to join our Telegram group or Discord channel. Also, don't forget to redeem your POP for today's session. We will post the link in the chat room later on, and make sure you don't miss it. Again, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you in the next webinar session. You guys have a good day, and bye-bye.